Welcome to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast, the podcast where we embrace the messy, wild, beautiful journey of motherhood together. I'm your host, Alexa Schmoker, mama of two beautiful kiddos, wife, nurse, and lover of Jesus. Motherhood is full of hard moments, unexpected chaos, and those days where you just really don't have it all together. But in the midst of it all, there is so much joy. On this podcast, we're diving into the real, honest conversations about motherhood, the challenges, the triumphs, and everything in between. We'll hear the stories of incredible moms from all walks of life, share wisdom, laughter, and let's be real, probably a few tears. And we're going to discover how to embrace the joy in this chaos. So whether you're rocking a baby to sleep, folding that never-ending pile of laundry, or sneaking away for a quiet moment with your coffee, welcome, Mama. You're not alone here. Hit subscribe and join me on this wild adventure of motherhood. I can't wait to do this journey with you. Welcome back to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. I am so excited for today's episode because we have a truly special guest joining us, someone who has poured her heart into serving God, loving others, and shaping lives of so many little ones, including my own children. Amy Bray is a woman with faith and dedication that shines through in everything that she does. She has spent years helping lay a foundation of Christ in the lives of young children as the early childhood director at our church. Her work has impacted so many families, mine included, and I know so many of you listening have been blessed with her work along the way. Her ministry does not stop there. Amy is a wife to her high school sweetheart, Jason, a mom to 4 amazing young men. She truly embodies everything it means to lead with love and faith in every aspect of her life. Amy, welcome to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. I am so honored to have you here. Will you take a moment to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your family?
Of course. Thank you for that lovely introduction. That's so kind. Yes, well, I have been married to my husband, Jason, for 31 years. It'll be 31 actually in May. So we were high school sweethearts, and so we actually dated for 6 years before we got married, which is a long time to date. So we dated for 6 years before we got married, and we met at church. We did not go to the same high school, but we met at church, and so that was important to both of us from the very beginning. We literally got married, like he graduated from college on the first week of May. I graduated from college the second week of May. We got married the third week of May.
Wow,
so,
that's a busy May.
Yes, it was a busy May. And so we kind of made our way and managed to have 4 amazing boys. Felt like we kind of grew up together, you know how that goes. So all of the things. So.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. And what are your boys' names and their ages?
We have Ryan, he's 27, and he works in Tulsa in finance. He went to TU. He's my firstborn, like my steady, loyal, thoughtful, gift giver son. He's been dating a wonderful girl for about 2 years. So we love her also. And then we have Grant, and he will be 24 in 2 days. So, and he just graduated from Johnson University in Knoxville, Tennessee. And he works with children with disabilities. That's his sweet spot. That's what he's doing right now. And then he wants to get his LPC, his counseling degree. So, and he's married to Abby, who we adore, and they've been married almost a year. And Grant is my sweet, empathetic, lover boy. That's who he is. And then we have Luke, and Luke is 21, and Luke has autism, and he is just full of life and personality, and that's never been an obstacle for him. That's what kind of the best way I could say that. He's after graduating from high school, he moved right into a great transition program, and he works at St. Francis Hospital.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah, so kind of a cool story there. And then we have Will, and Will is 20. He is at TCC right now, working on a little associate's degree before he goes to. He wants to get his degree in information science and technology right now. That is kind of the path. So he has. There's an option at OU, there's an option at OSU. So he is trying to kind of decide. And he's my quietly funny child that, he's just hilarious, but you don't really know that from the minute you meet him. So he kind of gets under your skin in a good way. So, and he also has the best heart. So I love my boys.
Yes, a lot of good boys.
Yes.
How fun. I'm now a boy mom.
Yes.
So I did not understand boy mom life prior to being a boy mom.
Well, and you only have sisters.
I only have sisters. Yes. And we have Briggs, my nephew.
Yes.
And then I have 2 other nephews. Mm-hmm. But besides that, I had never really known boys, and man, is it different.
It is.
It's like the second it happens, you're like, I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
Well, I was a girly girl. Mm-hmm. And God gave me these 4 sons. Yeah. I was like, okay. So, and I have all nieces. Right. So, except I do have a nephew on each side, but mostly I have all of these, nieces. And so the boys were sort of they kind of just barged into all of the little girl stuff that we had going on. But I love them. I wouldn't trade them for anything.
Oh, 4 boys. My husband is the youngest of 4 boys, too.
Okay.
Yes. So lots of boys.
Yes.
Okay. So Miss Amy, as moms, we can absolutely be crushing it. And then we have a mom fail. It never fails to have a mom fail.
Yes.
What is one of your funniest mom fails?
I have a lot. But the one that I'm going to tell you about is, and my husband even said, I can't believe you're going to tell them that, but I'm going to.
Tell us.
So Luke, my son with autism, he was probably 8 or 9 in elementary school, and he'd been fidgeting with his ears. Mm-hmm. And now with autism, there is a lot of stemming, and there's a lot of sensory things. Mm-hmm. And his teacher remarked on it, and I thought, well, maybe he has an infection. And then he just kind of stopped, and I was like, well, okay, that was just a little phase we were happening there. Mm-hmm. And he, a couple of weeks go by, and it's time for his well check at the doctor's office. We go to the doctor's office, and she looks in his ears, and she looks in one of his ears, and there's a small rock in it.
Oh, no.
And then she looks in his other ear, and he has a pencil lead in that one. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, well, I will not be winning Mother of the Year this year for sure. So, anyway, so it was a little double trip there to the ENT to get them out. We actually had to put him under.
Oh, no.
To get him out. It was,
I cannot imagine. You're like, okay. One of my sisters put something up their nose. Yeah. I think it was like one of those foam peanuts. I think it was Avery. I'm going to have to ask my mom. But I remember the whole, we had to go to urgent care, and then right before she got back, she sneezed it out. But there's something about those ears and noses.
I know. So I was like, okay, so next time I'm going to follow up more.
Yes, that's so funny. Okay, since I've been doing this, though, I feel like every mom has an ear story. Ear infections is a hot topic with moms. Yeah. So you weren't wrong about thinking it was an ear infection.
I did. Well, and here's the other thing. And it just
resolves, and
by the time, it was my 3rd kid.
Yeah. You're more easygoing.
And I was like, okay, if it had been Ryan, it had only been him, I would have been like, we are going to the doctor right now. There's something wrong. Yes. But then I was like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. And we're going, we got a well check soon. We're good. And it was not good.
It was not good. Well, hopefully that gives everyone a little, reassurance. Yes. You will be okay as a mom with a mom fail.
Yes.
You will make it through. That's funny. Okay. So, Amy, your heart for teaching, ministry, and serving families is so evident. Can you share a little bit about the different callings God has placed on your heart and what led you to pursue them? I know your journey into early childhood ministry wasn't always something that you had initially had planned. Mm-hmm. So how did that opportunity unfold, and what gave you the confidence to step into it?
Okay, so that's kind of a funny story. So from a very, very young age, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. Like that, I had an amazing fourth grade teacher especially, and she, I loved her so much, and she really, I was like, I'm 10 years old, and I'm like, I'm going to be a teacher. And so, so I went to school, I got my teaching degree, I came back to Owasso, and I taught here for several years, and then I decided, I was married, we had our oldest son, and I was like, I really want to be able to stay home from him. And it really, it broke my heart to take that. It was initially a leave of absence. But I thought, I'm going to focus on, this other calling that I know that I have, which is motherhood.
Right.
So we wanted to have another baby. So I stayed home, and we didn't have just one more baby. We had 3 more babies.
Right.
So we have 4 little kids, and then we had Luke, who had special needs, and so we really did need to supplement our income a little bit,
right?
Because therapies, different things, and so I started thinking, well, what's my skill set? I can teach, and I'm a mom, and so I started. I thought, well, maybe I'll just go back and I'll substitute teach, and it just didn't quite feel right, and we had started attending our church, and I had noticed, this is back in the day when they had like a paper bulletin.
Right.
Remember the paper bulletins? I had a paper bulletin, and I opened it up, and I was like, we hadn't been there long. I mean, it may have even been like the second time we were there. And I noticed that this was a job opening. There was an early childhood director job opening. And I was like, that's nice. And I literally didn't think anything about it.
Really?
And time is going by, and, and like every week there it is in the bulletin.
It's just looking right at you.
It's looking at me. And I kind of think about it. Then one of my friends tells me that she's going to apply for it. And I was like, well, I think that's great. I think you'd be great at it. And she would have been really great at it. At the last minute, she sort of decided to take her name out of the running. And she came to me and she said, listen, you need to apply for this job. It really kind of took me by surprise. And I was like, I don't know, I don't have a ministry background. And she was like, well, I don't either. She said, but I just feel like you should apply. So I kind of sat on it, and, I prayed about it, and I just didn't feel confident. But it wasn't that God wasn't, calling me to it. It was just my own insecurity about it. Right. And my husband, in his wisdom, was reminded me that I didn't have a teaching background, but what I did have was at our previous church, my friend and I had essentially ran the nursery, the baby and toddler nurseries. We had planned baby dedications, we had coordinated volunteers, schedules, all of the things. Like, and he was like, you're totally qualified to do this. He said, plus, you've got this teaching background. And the best part about it is that it was a flexible job. And I had, my younger 2 children were still in, they were like 3, 4, 5, somewhere between 3 and 5. They were young. And I needed to be able to get them to and from preschool. And I needed, I had my older boys in elementary school. And so I decided, okay, I will apply. And even though I was still, kind of anxious about it. So I applied. I get the job, of course. I get this job. Okay. And I was just like, well, okay, God, I got this job. Now what? One of the most amazing parts of the story was I was still just having a lot of anxiety about doing a good job. I really just wanted to do a good job, but I was very unfamiliar. I didn't know exactly how to run an early childhood ministry. And I was in the middle of a Bible study, and we were doing the life of Moses. And it just so happened to be the part in the story where God speaks to Moses through the burning bush and tells Moses that he is to go rescue. He's going to be the tool that God uses to rescue his people, the Israelites. And Moses is like, me?
Yeah.
Are you? No. And he starts listing out all of the reasons why he's not really the man for the job. I'm not a good speaker, all of these things. And God's like, no, I'm going to equip you. I'm going to be with you this whole time. And it was just this feeling of this just massive application for me of I don't have to know all of this.
Right.
Like, God is going to be with me. If he has led me to this church, he has led me to this role, he has given me this job, and he's going to be with me. So I I started and didn't really look back. So
Yeah.
and I had the job for 16 years, so it was great.
And you just had your little retirement tea party.
I did.
It was so cute at church. I know. Crew Pearl loves a tea party.
Oh, I did too. Like I said, I have boys, so I get a lot of tea parties in my house.
Oh, that is so cute. And I just dropped Crew Pearl off at Mother's Day out right before we started this, and they do depot in the morning, and so they come in and like sometimes they have little stuff showing on the screen like while they're coming in. And so as I was walking her in, it was the minnow version of Moses' story talking like at the burning bush.
Yes.
10 minutes ago.
That's so fun.
Is that not so crazy? Yes.
I love it.
So that is cool. You know, it's just a cool little thing. Okay, so Amy, one of the hardest parts of motherhood, at least for me, has been just the anxiety that I feel over my children, with the anxiety of their health, their safety, their happiness. I find myself just wanting to protect them from everything, and I know I can't always be in control, and sometimes that's the hardest part for me. It's just like letting go of that control.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear how your faith has shaped you through your journey of motherhood, and how you've maybe struggled with some of these same feelings, and how you've learned to trust God with your children, especially as they grow into those older seasons and those high school and young adult seasons.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that I was not prepared for, and it's going to sound, it may even sound a little like stupid to say this, but I did not comprehend the love that I would have for my children before I had them.
You can't.
And I just had no idea, just like this fierce, protective, I would die for you kind of love.
Yeah.
And I was not really prepared. I remember crying and telling my mom, I'm like, is this how you feel about
normal?
me?
Yeah.
And
it puts your perspective.
And she was like, yes, this is exactly how I feel about you. And I'm like,
all this time, I had no idea
you love me this much. She was just, it was a lot of pregnancy hormones too happening, but at the same time, I was not prepared for that much emotion. And so when you take that and you kind of combine it with a type A personality, planner personality, it kind of manifested itself in quite a bit of anxiety for me anyway. I was, oh my goodness, the book says that they need to be doing this. Are they hitting their developmental milestones? Oh my goodness, they're going to preschool. Do they have a friend? Are they making friends? Are they being kind? Just all of those types of things. And then obviously as they age, it gets, the stakes get higher and, the anxiety can grow. I feel like, on a cognitive level, we just don't have control over every single aspect of their lives. We can only kind of control our responses, and we can teach our children how to control their responses, because whatever happens to them and it's going to happen. And it's not anything, we can't protect them and keep them in a little bubble. With Mom Collective, I love Julie Richard, who does the our curriculum for Fearless Mom. And she's got a lot of wisdom to share. And I feel like one of the things that she talks about a lot is having a growth mindset and a God mindset.
Right.
And basically that just means that we are equipping them. We can't protect them, but we're going to be equipping them for their lives. And she always talks about Romans 8:28, and it says that we know in all things that God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. And he wastes nothing, including the bad things that happen or the challenging things that happen. I guess I could phrase it that way. In fact, I read that verse and then and immediately after the words were nothing is wasted. And then 2 days later, something else popped up and the words nothing is wasted again popped up. And I thought to myself, I need to sit on that for a second. And I feel like that it's just telling us that God uses it all. He uses every bit of what goes on in our children's lives. And our job as moms is to not fear that as much as just trust him with it. And I still struggle with it as they get older, but I have to kind of stop and I have to do a reset. I have to gain some perspective. If you've ever, gone through anything, what I've always heard is to start thinking about the positives. Find something to be thankful for. Thank God for those things. And it will immediately reset. And you're going to be able to get a positive outlook and find your joy again. And then ultimately, just go back to giving your children over. And it's not, you don't just give them over one time.
Right.
It's a daily surrender. At least for me it is,
right.
Of the things. Otherwise, I think that, if we didn't have that, if we didn't have our faith, I feel like we would all have crippling anxiety. So I just really think that we definitely need to just think about, the time that we have with our kids and thank God for that and know that he's given them to us.
Right.
And so, he's got it and he has them. So.
Yeah. And to the mom out there that's listening, that is hearing this and maybe they don't go to church regularly or their kids aren't plugged in anywhere, what is something that you would recommend for her plugging her kids in, plugging herself in, plugging her family in, different steps that they could take?
Well, I definitely think that if you have that desire, you're going to need to just look around at the churches that are around you, and try to find some place, especially, if your kids aren't happy, you're not going to be happy.
Right.
So find some place that you feel like you've heard good things. Ask your friends, where do you go to church? Do you like their children's programming? And, and start there, pray over that decision, because your child's faith journey begins with you. We tell parents this, and I'm talking in like I'm still doing it, but I believe in it so wholeheartedly when we would do baby dedications, that you've got 936 weeks with your children from the time that they're born until they graduate. And I'm not saying you don't have them after that. You do, but you have them in your home for that time, and you have that time for where your influence is the main influence. And so you want to make those moments count. You want to be intentional with them. And so what are you going to do with that time? You want to build that little foundation with them, because that's what they're going to take with them when they launch. And that's the goal. That's what we're doing here, is we're not raising babies, we're looking towards, for me, it was, I'm raising men, who do I want them to be when they leave my home?
Right.
That's the goal. And so trying to process getting them into a church that's going to partner with me, that's going to help me and walk alongside me, as my child grows, and it's going to have some great programming and some things for them as they grow. That was kind of what our church did for my boys, for sure.
Yeah. And we had just talked about this before we started, but it's okay to ask to sit down with the director and ask to do a tour and ask to, you want to make sure your kids are safe. I understand that.
Absolutely.
So, and I feel like, the director on the other side would appreciate as well.
Oh, totally. I was always really passionate. I love to share what we were doing because I felt I believed in our mission, and and I think that any church is going to welcome you into their space and to show you kind of what they're all about, and kind of what their end game is. So
right. And now you've kind of stepped into a little bit of the Mom Collective group, like we've talked about with the Fearless Mom. So for moms trying to plug into groups, if you're local, and it's kind of like the surrounding areas, Wausau, Tulsa, surrounding areas, Mom Collective starts new groups in the fall. Is that correct?
Yes. No, so what we're doing now is we will be opening up registration this spring, and we'll start off. Well, the initial registration is going to be for all of our returning moms, and then we'll open it up to new moms. Okay. And if you're looking for community, and if you're looking for just to walk with moms that are ahead of you in your journey, that's huge. If I'd had that, if I'd had someone to hold my hand, as with different challenges and things, because, they're going to tell you it's not easy, but you're going to be okay, and your kids are going to be okay, and I'm here for you. And you've got someone that has been through that. And not only do you have mentor moms, you've got moms in your group where you guys can, walk together in parenting. And so, I am a big believer in Mom Collective. I think it's I just think it's great.
Yes. Well, I do too. Obviously, I'm in it. My sister's in it. We absolutely love it. And it has provided us with some amazing connections and people. And you don't have to go to First Church to be a part of Mom Collective. So I'll link the information in the show notes.
Absolutely.
For anyone who's interested. And if you're not local or in the area, maybe look out around and see what kind of groups are out there. Because I feel like there are stuff out there,
Yes.
and make one of your own if there's not.
Absolutely.
You can always be the first one to start it. Okay, Miss Amy, with motherhood, it brings unique challenges.
Yes.
And lessons, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of your journey with your son, Luke. You said that, Luke has autism, and the journey for you has been challenging at times and also so joyful. So what does it look like with your family? And now, with your retirement, you are stepping into a different season of your life with your son, Luke. So if you'll kind of talk a little bit on that and how you hope to support and encourage other moms who are walking similar paths.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Luke is our third child out of 4. Everything about my pregnancy with Luke was completely normal. He was, my delivery was normal. He was the happiest, sweetest, little baby and little guy, and just hitting the milestones. Boys, there's sometimes they're a little bit slower to develop on certain things, and I was used to that because he had 2 older brothers, and something interesting happened when he was a toddler. When he was 16 months old, I had his youngest brother, this was
close.
This was big. They were close together, and so I had a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 16-month-old.
Oh, wow.
And a newborn.
You had a newborn. Oh, Amy.
It was wild times.
Yes.
It was wild times. You can ask anyone. And so they were, 4 under the age of 6. And it was very busy. There was a lot of, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, he's approaching, 2, and, he turns 2, and things are, I'm not noticing, anything that's raising a red flag. Somewhere between 2 and 3, some things kind of started happening. It didn't happen really all at once. It wasn't like one day he woke up and there was behaviors there, but it definitely started happening between 2 and 3. I remember at his 3rd birthday party, for example, we had it out at my mom and dad's house. We had this it was like a dump truck theme. It was really cute. He had all this stuff, and what he really wanted to do was go over to my parents' screen door and open it and close it. And open it and close it, and just watch the door open and close. And I was like, "Come over here. Let's open presents." And I'm just, and that, and apart from really some language development that I had really just seen, he didn't lose words, but he just really stopped developing new words. Okay. And so, I just had some fears in the back of my mind, or just some concerns, and we were, kind of approaching, looking at that. And right around then, about a month or so later, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. And our world really just sort of screeched to a halt. And kind of all of my emotional energy really went into just my dad and supporting my mom through his cancer diagnosis and his treatment. And he was with us for 8 more months, and then he passed away. So it was really kind of an emotional time. And, we've got these little kiddos, and my dad passes away. And I knew that it was time to really address Luke, because I thought, I can't, just say, okay, this is just a developmental delay. Like I couldn't just say it was this. It was something. Right. So we decided that we would take him to a developmental pediatrician in Tulsa, who this pediatrician is no longer is in practice there. But we went to see her, and he was, it was before he was 4. He was somewhere between. He was about 3.5. And he, after she kind of evaluated him, we went back for the meeting, and she just painted this very, very bleak picture of what his life was going to be, and of this diagnosis, and just said things like, he's probably not going to read or write. And if he does, it'll be very, very basic. It could be months or possibly years before he would toilet train. Just anything that you could hear as a mom that would just crush you about your child, we heard. And I decided that that's just not going to that doesn't sit right with me. Right. And I do not accept this. Right. I accept that we have most likely autism, but I do not accept that this will be his life. Right. So, Luke could take direction. Luke was making progress in toilet training. I didn't feel like it was, far away. He was, even though he definitely had delays, he was happy. He was engaged. He was social. He was his own little special self. And even with his stimming, his repetitive behaviors, this child had an obsession with elevators like I'd never seen in my life, still does. But I was like, how could they say this about my child after evaluating him one time? I was like, this is not the doctor for us.
Right.
So I just went back to our pediatrician, and I said, for right now, you're our only doctor, and I trust you. And so we're gonna focus on what we can do moving forward. And so she was great, and she just really worked alongside us. She knew Luke. She the other team didn't really know him, but she did.
Right.
So 2 months later, he was toilet trained. Right. I was like, okay,
you're like,
we have checked that box.
Yes.
And so my next step was to get him into preschool. And I wanted him to go to the preschool that my other kids are going to. Now, this is back in the days of before, like, pre-K in the public school. Right. As far as, organized pre-K in the public school. This was, mostly you were just trying to find a little preschool. So one thing that this public school did have was that they had a developmentally delayed pre-K program.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay. So what we did is we put him...
was that at Hudson?
It was actually at Barnes.
Okay.
So he went to the developmental the DD pre-K like 2 days a week. And then the other 2 days a week he went to a regular preschool. But the preschool that his brothers went to were like, yes, we will take Luke. And they had an elevator in their building.
Oh, that's a plus.
So it was a big deal.
Yes.
And so he did both. He did kind of a hybrid. And he thrived. Yeah. School was the magic key for my son. He ended up, from DD pre-K, we went into DD kindergarten, and that was actually out of Stone Canyon.
Okay.
And so he did Stone Canyon. And so it's so funny because he ended up being at like 3 or 4 different schools and, made friends at all of them. Yeah. And then we made the switch to Hudson. And, and Hudson at that point had the autism program. Yes. So when he was in the 1st grade, he went to Hudson, and we moved the rest of our boys over there. And he just took off like a rocket. I'm not saying we didn't have the hard times, because we did. He started doing Special Olympics when he was in 2nd grade, which was just the absolute best. Yes. Loved Special Olympics. Loved Special Olympics. He was like a little gold medalist in bowling. Bowling became his thing. There at the early on, he competitive. And my husband's also competitive, and I'd have to remind him, it's the Special Olympics. Okay, it's a Special Olympics. So, we want him, but yes. Luke was all in on it. So he would, get those gold medals and so excited, blue ribbons, all of it. Yeah. And then, another great thing about Owasso's, their school district, is they have a peer mentoring program. So they're going to, there's a lot of inclusion there. And so that was fabulous for him. Yes. So he never felt like, everyone was his friend. Right. So he was always super social in that way. He was in choir. He was in just regular choir. He made all district choir when he was in the 9th grade. Oh, wow. And I don't know if I cried more or his choir teacher cried more. Right. We were just both like, okay. So we did that. He also, as he got into high school, they do unified Special Olympics. And so Grant, my second-born son, there was his unified partner for bocce. They competed in bocce. Oh, how fun. And they were like the dream team. They got the gold medal, and it just, just see your boys out there. I mean, I get emotional saying it. Like it just was everything. So one of the things, Luke, here he is. He was chosen to speak at the Oklahoma Special Olympics big gala they have every year at Southern Hills Country Club. So he's getting up there and he's telling them what he loves about Special Olympics, including like going to Eskimo Joe's and eating cheese fries and all the things. And then in early 2020, before everything kind of shut down, he was chosen. He went to Washington, D.C. with the Oklahoma and spoke to our Oklahoma delegation about Special Olympics. They kind of took a little group there, Special Olympics Oklahoma did, to speak about funding for Special Olympics, and he got to speak to his experience. When he was a senior, like he was yeah, I got a message from his teacher. Oh, Luke's been chosen as student of the month. And I was like, okay. And she was like, Amy, like, not just like our class, like the student body.
Yes.
Like he's a student of the month for like his whole senior class. And I was like, oh, I mean,
it's a big deal.
And I was like, okay, he was like his little senior representative for choir homecoming. He just, he competed in Mr. Owasso.
That's fun.
His senior year.
Yes.
He was Mr. Special Olympics. And of course he sang. He sang Lean on Me.
Oh.
He brought the house down, got a standing ovation. I was weeping. It was just, he won the hearts of the crowd, and he won Best Smile.
Yes.
So that was a big deal. And I mean, I just, I wish that I could have gone back to that team that evaluated him early and say, I want you to know that, this was not, what is even the word I want to use here? Just it was not an ending for us. I mean, this was his diagnosis. He just kicked open doors.
Right.
He just knocked down barriers. He blew our minds out of the water, and it was something just to see. And he amazes us. Now, there are challenges. I do not want to,
right.
There are times where autism is autism, and we are stubborn about things, and things have to be a certain way, and we don't understand why the world doesn't work the way it works in our brains. And so there are times that that have been challenging for our whole family, but I just want to let parents know, if they have a child with disabilities, that they are not just their diagnosis.
Yes.
There's hope there. So definitely.
Right. Like you were talking about that team and that doctor, they don't know your child. And so if you are a parent that's facing something like that, that's not the end of the road.
Right.
Like, you have every right to advocate and fight for your child.
Yes.
And to be that mama bear.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. He just, I feel like I'm very thankful for our pediatrician, and she was great. And during sort of our tenure, when he was still with her, she would even reach out to actually a different developmental pediatrician who we actually ended up seeing for part of the time. She was fabulous, just for different things, because I think a doctor that can say, you know what, I'm going to ask somebody that this is their field of expertise is a doctor that you want to have.
Absolutely.
And she was great. And so, I just want to say that he has never let his autism stop him. Right. And he's never felt like he's, different. And so, I think the world obviously, views him as definitely, with a label. But at the same time, if you spend 90 seconds with him, you're smiling.
Right.
He's really something, and we're super proud of him. He's got this job now, and so it's amazing.
Really bringing joy.
Yes.
And so as you are going into these young adult years with him, what does that kind of look like?
Well, we are his goal, and even though it's hard for me to to think about, is he wants to live, independently. And so the best, we told him, we said, okay, you can do that. We're just going to find you a safe place.
Right.
So we're very fortunate in our community. We have a place called New Leaf, and they offer housing for individuals with disabilities and job opportunities, a bunch of different things. They even offer like a transition program coming out of high school. And so we are on the wait list there for him to be able to live in. They have different levels of housing. Some is more kind of hands-on with a lot more supervision, all the way up to, mostly independent. And he's kind of falls somewhere in the middle of that.
Right.
And so that's kind of our goal, is to get him into New Leaf whenever something happens to open up. And they're building their next phase, probably the next 18 months to 2 years. And so we're working on life skills, hardcore life skills, and things that I feel like, things that I think that he knows that he doesn't know. For example, we went to the grocery store. He wanted to get, I can't remember. It may have been like we were looking for some bread. And I was like, okay, well, where do you think the bread is? And he kind of looked around, and I said, okay, like we looked up. I'm like, okay, look at the signs. They're going to tell us what's on each aisle, and so, knowing just where to find things in a grocery store.
Right.
Or how to ask for help, how to basic cooking, budgeting, your money's a big deal. How to, staying within your budget, home safety. Like, when do I call 911? What is an emergency? Internet safety.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Especially with money.
Oh, yes.
Like you said, too.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Things like how to read my prescription bottle, how to make an appointment with my doctor or any other kind of professional. I've got this teaching background. I was like, okay, we're going to make some lesson plans.
Right.
And we're going to figure this out. So I downloaded some curriculum and off of Teacher Pay Teacher, and we're working on it. So yesterday we went shopping for some new clothes, and we talked about what our budget was, and able to kind of stretch that dollar out. So that was our life skill lesson for yesterday. So
I might need that life skill as well. I might need to come on your next shopping trip.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's great because, his journey has impacted our whole family in positive ways.
Right.
Grant found his calling really through having an autistic brother. And he worked that his whole heart is, I want to help other families that have a special needs child family that, with any, kind of counseling that they might need. My other two, I would say, develop just an empathy that they maybe would not have had, and a patience that they maybe, I think it's going to serve them the rest of their lives. And for Jason and I, I'm a planner. This was not in my plan.
Right.
This was not anything that I signed up for, but again, God has used it, in our lives. In John chapter 9, where, the disciples asked Jesus, they come upon a man, he was born blind. And the disciples asked Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus responds and he says, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God may be displayed in him. And that is a special need families verse right there.
Right.
This is, this has happened so that God can show up and work in their lives, and it affects everyone around them. And so I feel like that is definitely Luke's story.
Yeah, that's one to hold on to. That's so special. I was talking to a mom the other day, and she was talking about one of her children, and she has a background in teaching like blind and deafblind children. And then her son, whenever he was born years later, has had some of those same issues. And she said she really struggled with did my job do this? Did I manifest this? She's like, I know that this isn't truth, but it's a spiral that I got into. And I could definitely see how just our brains could get you into that spiral. Completely. And that's not truth. Oh,
completely. Well, I talked about the busyness of our home. And whenever he was very, very young, and for years, I couldn't even watch our home videos of him when he was little. Because I was like, okay, right there was at the moment where we should have gone straight to the doctor. Oh, I missed that. Should we start therapy there? Right. And I couldn't even watch them. Right. And about a year or so ago, we put all of our video on. Yeah. Streamed it up into the cloud, however you call that.
Right.
And I was able to watch those videos, and I hadn't watched them in a long time. And it just gave me joy.
You got to see it with joy.
I did. It made me really happy just to see him and to know, this was the timing of it was, God had. Luke got the help he needed in God's time. And it was not, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
We were doing the best we can. And so I just, definitely was, you just have to embrace them. Your child's fearfully and wonderfully made.
And you're made for them.
And you are made for them. That is exactly right.
Yes.
God chose you to be his mom. So
absolutely
trust God with your child.
Absolutely. And just like you were talking about siblings too, I think that's so important too. God chose those brothers to be Luke's brother.
Yes.
And yes, because I'm sure that comes with its own challenges as well. Well, to switch gears onto a lighter note, Amy, you're a Disney girl.
So much.
You are a Disney lover, and I'd love for you to share a little bit about Disney. What are some of your favorite family memories of your trips, and what kinds of moments do you hope to create with your family in the future, maybe as it grows, maybe with spouses, grandkids one day, maybe.
Yes.
And for those moms out there dreaming of taking their kids to Disney, I hope my husband's listening to this, but maybe feeling overwhelmed by the planning or cost, what encouragement would you give them, and why do you believe it's worth those magical memories?
Okay. Well, we love it. Like, every time, we go, people are like, you are going back to Disney? And I'm like, you know what? You go to the beach every year.
Right.
You do you. We're going to do this. This is us.
Yes.
And so we love it. We actually go to both parks. We go to Disney World and Disneyland both.
Oh, wow.
Like
You're full in.
We are. Mm-hmm. We are. And, it started off, we went to Disney World on our honeymoon.
Okay.
And that was the first time that was actually the first time I'd ever been.
Really?
So, yes. I'd always wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went, we kind of did, as much as we could. Now, of course, when you're first married and poor, you don't do a whole lot of that.
Right.
Then the kids came, and what kind of started was my husband worked in a job where he would have a conference in Orlando.
Okay.
And he would have a conference there, and it was there every other year. It would end up being in Orlando. And so, we would fly out there on airline miles, and we would stay with him in whatever hotel he was at.
Right.
And then we would just basically pay for our park tickets and our food. And we kind of started that. That's kind of the first. And so I'm telling you, if you've got little bitties and you're taking them, and, and even, I would just say, younger than 4, watching them, maybe even younger than 7, watching them, like, it's just so magical to watch your child love something. And if they are Disney fans at all, if they love, whatever my kids, of course, this is, back in the day, they, Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, big time Buzz Lightyear, Woody, of course, Incredibles, Peter Pan, Sleeping Beauty, all of it. And when you watch them meet their characters, like, it's just the best.
It's so much joy.
Yes, so much joy. You're so excited because they are so excited. So just seeing that wonder is just, it kind of keeps you coming back. Plus, Disney is, they do everything with excellence. They're very detail oriented, and as a detail oriented person, I appreciate that so much. I mean, it smells good. It's clean. Everything. It's imaginative. It's innovative, and it just kind of just sparks joy when we end up going. So, and one of the things also that Disney really does well is they are very accommodating to guests with disabilities.
Okay.
And so for early, when we started taking, all of them, because we kind of just took our little 2, and then we kind of graduated and started taking the older ones, and at that point we were kind of going like every 4 years or so.
Right.
It was, they would accommodate Luke and his autism. And it was really, we just felt really seen.
Right.
By them, just like, they knew that he had, some challenges that maybe some of their other children that were there did not have. And so I feel like they just accommodated us really well. And so that was a big draw for us. And also to get 4 children to agree on a vacation destination.
And be excited about it.
And yes. And so that sort of, it kind of fed that fire. But, but then when you go and you have a great experience, it does make you want to go back. So, we just, as far as it kind of being our family's special place, I would say, when, and this was, we're talking, 2016 and later. So my kids are big kids by this point. When we go, we can just watch, like, their shoulders relax and the burdens kind of lift off. Like, we feel it ourselves. And I can see that in my boys. They have permission to be kids again. Right. And let's see, I guess Grant and Will, we were actually at Disneyland. This was 2021, I think, maybe 22. And if you go into Cars Land, they do this really fun thing. Of course, it looks exactly like the movie. Yeah. And so, so you go into Cars Land, and they have when it starts getting dark, they have like a kind of like a lights on. It's like they turn on all the neon that's in Radiator Springs. And so they turn that on and they play Shaboom, which life could be a dream, you know, from the movie. They play that just like they did in the movie. And I was like, it's so cute. And so I was taking some video on my phone, and I kind of turned around, and there they are, you know, I think maybe they were like 16 and 19 at this point. And they're just kind of bobbing their heads, and they're singing Life Could Be a Dream. And I just like had this moment of, this is why we go. Right here. Like, they are bobbing their heads without a care in the world. They're remembering when they were little and enjoying this moment, you know, being together. It was great. Yeah. So, you know, and plus, you know, when we go to, if we're in California, we go to Disneyland, we go to Avengers Campus, which is there at California Adventure, you know, or go to Galaxy's Edge, which is Star Wars. Which, you know, I mean, if you've got kids that, would like that like, and they get to meet like a character. Right. And they're like, it's cool. They are like, it's like when they were little and they met Buzz. You know, they're just like, yes. You know, it's just cute to watch and have that interaction. So, so it makes them happy. Yeah. It makes us happy. And so as long as they want to go with us, we'll take them. So. Yeah. And I feel like there's such an urgency, I feel like, to grow up. Yes. And now that, I mean, I'm almost 32, what I would do to like have that youth and that feeling back. Totally. And just to be able to give that and live in that. And like you said, like you and your husband even bask in it. Yeah, totally. It's so cool. You know, and then so Grant is married to sweet Abby, and she'd never really been to Disney. And so we kept joking that we were going to indoctrinate her. It was just part of being in our family. But we took her last October to Disney World, and she loved it. And watching Grant show her all of the things was like the cutest thing, because it was just like he was just excited to share his love of this place that you know has brought him happiness and brought our family happiness. And you know, I can just see there's going to be a little bit of a legacy there. And so we are going to go to Disneyland twice this year. So we are. One's a celebration trip for my retirement, and then we're actually going to take the family, and we're going to go this in the summer and go for their little 70th anniversary. Oh, that'll be fun. So it's, you know, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be exciting. So since we kind of did Disney World heavy for a little bit, so we're gonna switch over to do Disneyland for a while. That's cool. Yeah, we definitely want to do a trip. Jordan's aunt and uncle just moved like right by Disney World. Oh, fun. So I would love to go up, and they're Disney people, so they know all the ins and outs and everything. So I'm amazing. Like, we will go with you guys, and then you help us, because we took her to see Paw Patrol in real life. Oh, goodness. And that was a year ago, and all the time, did you know I went to Paw Patrol in real life? In real life, like just all about it. So I think she would absolutely eat it up. It's great. And I would say for anybody that's thinking about going, you know, vacation, you know, you're going to invest in a vacation no matter where you go. You're going to spend a little bit of money, but you know, you can do Disney. You know, I think just some planning on the front end. Right. I would advise, especially if you've never been, for sure, get a travel agent. I have a great one, and she's helped us. We've been a ton, and she still helps us. Yeah. So get a travel agent, and those travel agents are going to be able to tell you about all, you know, staying on site versus staying off site, and the perks, and that, you know, maybe, during the times to go, you know, and if you've got little kids that aren't even in school yet, you know, you should go here because this is when, you know, the crowds might be lower. Yeah. You know, and they know all the tips and tricks and how to navigate everything. They're going to tell you about rope drop, and they're going to tell you your child loves Elsa. This is the park you need to go to, and here's the character meet and greets, and here's how to use the app, and just all of the things. It's very, you know, we kind of have our own way to do it, and you know, we don't go hard like all day long, and you know, rope drop to fireworks. We definitely go early for rope drop. Which that means, you know what rope drop means? Is that when you enter? I'm assuming there's a literal rope. Okay. In different sections of the park, and so they bring you in, and then you stop at this rope, and then they drop the rope. Oh, grand entrance. And they drop the rope, and then you go into whatever section you want to go into. And so we do that, and then we usually like go back for the afternoon and just enjoy our resort, you know, and swim or, take a nap, whatever it is. And for the littles, definitely it would be just that same, and then we come back because Disney at night is magical Disney.
Right.
The lights and the, and then if your child can tolerate fireworks and would like that, then, stay through that. And then, the next day, kind of what your limit is and, take a day to rest in the middle of it and enjoy your resort or go to Disney Springs or what, maybe that's a water park day or something, but definitely a pool day. Definitely, there's ways to do it. And your children are going to, you don't have to start off at a fancy high-end place.
Right.
Just being there, they find wonder in everything. Mm-hmm. So, you can do it when they're small and, they may not even remember some of it, but you will remember it.
Right.
And that is, some of my best memories are of oldest two when they were really small and, getting to meet the characters and just, they may not remember it, but we have the pictures and the video to prove it happened. Mm-hmm. And it was just darling. So
yeah, just the sweetest thing. And sometimes really just a hotel pool is all you...
There's no joke there. I mean, they
just love a hotel pool.
They do.
Yes.
They do.
Oh, well, Amy, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today and sharing your heart and your wisdom and your journey. You have poured so much love, not only to my child, both of my children now, Crew Pearl and Wilder, but so much into my nieces and my nephews that you have there, and a lot of my friends' kids who are my kids' friends as well. So the foundation that you've also helped Jordan, my husband, and I in these early years of parenting, guiding us as we build a Christ-centered home is something we will always be grateful for. As you step into this next season of life with Luke, working on life skills and preparing for independent living, please know that we're praying for you. Your dedication, faith, and love continue to inspire so many. We are cheering you on every step of the way. So thank you for everything that you do and being such a light for the lives of our families and so many others.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all of the Wild Crew mamas out there listening. And just, I love that you're doing this. I know that you're encouraging a lot of moms out there, and I want to just let you know that I just think you're a light. I think you're being a light to all of these moms listening, and I love that you guys have this as a resource. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is a great platform because it's something that you're able to reach moms that maybe you wouldn't before.
Yes.
And this is definitely out of my comfort zone. I've never done anything like this, so I'm just trying to follow,
Yes.
But,
yes, I love it.
I'm excited. Oh, well, thank you so much again.
Of course.
Okay. Mama, I am so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule today to listen to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. I'm Alexis Schmoker, and I hope you loved this conversation and that it resonated with you. Thank you so much for opening up your circle and letting us in as we walk through this wild ride of motherhood together. Remember, in the chaos of motherhood, there is always joy to be found. So keep looking in those little moments that make it all worth it. Be sure to follow along on Instagram at mamaofthewildcrew_podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so comment, tag me, DM me, let me know what you think, and let me know what you'd like to hear next. Mama, I am praying for you, I love you, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Mama, I am so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule today to listen to Mama of the Wild Crew podcast. I'm Alexis Schmoker, and I hope you loved this conversation and that it resonated with you. Thank you so much for opening up your circle and letting us in as we walk through this wild ride of motherhood together. Remember, in the chaos of motherhood, there is always joy to be found. So keep looking in those little moments that make it all worth it. Be sure to follow along on Instagram at mamaofthewildcrew_podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so comment, tag me, DM me, let me know what you think, and let me know what you'd like to hear next. Mama, I am praying for you, I love you, and I cannot wait to see you next time.